everybody again, and thank you for being so respectful during the ceremony. That was beautiful. I would like to take a moment to introduce you to the president of our school, Mr. Wes Bryan, who has a few words of welcome.
Thank you, Lorena. In the late 60s or 70s, there was a joke that went around the internet. It was when we were still discussing and arguing about women's rights and the ERA amendment. And it said, you know, the mistake that we made was giving women a library card. Now, they used that joke to make fun. And in reality, it carried a lot of truth, in the sense that to empower people is to give them knowledge. To empower people is to give them access to books, to teachers, to learning, to skills, to opportunities. And so every person who wants to oppress tries to take away books and opportunities to education, whether it's individually because they don't like somebody, so they take them out so they can't go to school, or they take out a whole schoolroom, or they deny people access to classes and education. It's all about oppression. And so as you walk around or you look at the seats, those are examples or memories of someone who's tried to oppress and take from people their freedom to information, to access, to learning, to seeing something different than that person who was oppressing them wanted them to see. And so today's a nice day to reflect as you walk and look at those posters, to remember what we still have freedom to do, what we still have our lives and our bodies and our minds to pursue. And that is not just for personal freedom, but the knowledge that we learn, the skills that we develop, the reason we educate ourselves is not just selfish. It's so that we can give back to our community, to our world, to our globe, so that we can increase the capacity of other people and the opportunity for other people to also pursue education. And sometimes things that are freely given or come because we just expect them, we don't see or understand always the real value of that opportunity. We're not grateful, or we think, well, maybe I don't need to go to class today or do that today or read this book today. Not realizing that when we don't do that, we're giving away an opportunity to be different, to learn something new, and to expose ourselves to different viewpoints. And these were people, those signs represent people who were just trying to do that, just trying to eke out a better life in a better way and more information than they had. And someone opposed that idea and took them out. So I applaud this day of just reflecting, this moment of reflecting, that what we have here is a great opportunity to be a different kind of person, to be a change agent in this world, and to make a difference in other people's lives as well as our own. So I applaud this event and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you again, Wes, for your beautiful words and for reminding us how safe we are here at Golden West College. Up next, we're going to have our keynote speaker for the day, who is also my co-chair. I would like to introduce you, for those of you who don't know him, and he is your professor, Dr. Giovanni Ortua Vargas.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let's try that again, you guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
When I say we are, you say students. We are.
Students.
We are.
Students.
We are.
Students.
I want to to give a big thanks to President Wes Bryant. I want to give a thanks also to Michelle Castillo, my co-chair, Ms. Lorena Ortega, Professor Salceda, who will be here tomorrow, student volunteers for this event, students at Golden West College, colleagues on this and other campuses, staff and administration here at GWC, and students present from my class here this morning. Thank you so much. I'd like to share some quotes. Thank you. I'd like to share some quotes that you're seeing on campus today displayed. One quote says, "I was destined to endure a daily trip of torment as part of my college career." Khalid, a young man from Hamas, Syria, said to describe his near daily commute to the university. Another quote, "As President Karzai calls for local leaders to promote fairness and equality in education for women, a right that was granted to women after the fall of the Taliban in Afghanistan in 2001. The Afghan Education Ministry has closed 550 schools across the country due to security concerns affecting 300,000 students in 11 provinces." Another quote, "Disguised in a school uniform, a suicide bomber set off explosives hidden in a backpack during an assembly Monday at a high school in northern Nigeria, killing at least 48 students and wounding 79 others." 17-year-old Nobel Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai, with respect to women in education, stated, "I didn't want my future to be imprisoned in my four walls and just cooking and giving birth." Lastly, University of Pennsylvania student Madison Holleran, 19, stressed about her 3.5 GPA, jumps from a parking garage to her death. In Iguala, Guerrero, Mexico, 43 students attending the college Ayotzinapa are disappeared one evening in September of 2014 as they were heading en route to protest discrimination in hiring of teachers at a conference held by the mayor's wife. These are true events from around the world as well as our own homeland. And what my purpose with us today is to share with you three main reasons for sustaining student academic success, and these major tenets that influence us and our education. The first pillar is the pillar of education. And here I believe that three realms worth talking about are the critical thinking skills that you acquire in your education, the support system that you need from your institution, as well as the responsibilities that go along with this. In other words, as a critical thinker in this institution, we're trying to build a future of scholars questioning, contemplating, and more importantly, exploring the possible realms of their own education. The support system you have at this institution and anywhere else you decide to go provides an education that not only includes academic counselors, but mental health counseling, opportunities that do an effective job in reaching out to students, informing them of the help they can seek, because all students have been exposed to finding this help out. And finally, the responsibility in this pillar called education. The responsibility that both college has in addressing students' concerns, and the responsibility that students have in respecting each other and following through with their own schooling. That's a pillar of education. Now, where do students come from? A lot of this has to do with a couple other pillars that are important to this process. One of these pillars is known as the pillars of community. In this pillar of community, we have the mutual assistance or growth, in which this is where students gain a know-how of what works best within their own community. Nobody knows, and I've said this to my classes, nobody knows your community like you do. In my course, again, we've talked about why the only representatives fit to be in your community is from your own. This is also the K through 12 schooling, demonstrated to be a formative period in your own life, the student's life, your social life, in your own community. You see the networks taking place. These are connections made that link community church groups, club organizations, schools, and after-school programs, public community projects, aka a place to go. and also a responsibility attached to participating in your community, meaning that students and members of the community are responsible to one another, sharing space and ideas in which the community flourishes and creates a safe and vital ambiance of understanding, friendship, and respect. The final pillar, which is probably the most critical, I would put that in the nucleus, is obviously the family. The family demonstrates your soul, especially of culture, your elements crucial to sustainability of the community itself and your identity, which differs from region to region. These are the roots of your language, your ideals, spiritual practices, food and clothing customs. This is your personal soundtrack. The music emanating from your soul, and the receptors of your family just bobbing their heads with you because they understand it's important. Within your family, you have those bonds. The bonds and links that keep your family together through crises, through terror, through fears, through pain, through love, through excitement, through passion, and through peace. And the responsibility in your family. It's the responsibility that is also the responsibility you have to other families and other family spirits from local to the global. The responsibilities that we all have in our family is and shouldn't be dismissed in other groups who have their own crucial elements of sustainability. The family seeks to protect. It seeks to educate, seeks to understand, listen, hear, seeks to always search for truth. A truth that will help make you, the student, more holistic and prepare you to take forms to other students who come from other communities and forms of education and families, and thereby creating other families, and thereby creating other families. When any of these pillars, I argue, or subcategories within these pillars are disrupted, the student is affected. And what of external factors, you ask? What about students who are afraid to go to school because, number one, they are afraid of being oppressed because of their identity, race, gender, sexual orientation, or religious background? What about students who are afraid to go to school because they're afraid to die because of a suicide bomber, a corrupt national government that has no tolerance for difference, a religious radical who doesn't believe women belong in schools? What about students who are afraid to go to school because they are afraid that addressing sexual violence in colleges is not important to the learning institution itself? What about students who are afraid to go to school because they are afraid that they won't be able to afford school because tuition increases, class choices decreases, family comes first, and education takes a back seat again? What about students who are afraid to go to school because of the pressure to only focus on getting the grade and not focusing on getting the education? Or what about students who are afraid to go to school because of the pressure to only focus on achieving other people's dreams and not following your own? Or that comes with returning to a community that you may see you in a different light because you're not like us, quote unquote, anymore, meaning you're getting educated. What do we say about this? Well, here we are. This is just the tip of the iceberg for the longer conversation, for the longer understanding. We're here today because it's important to recognize, as President Bryan mentioned, that for some of us, it's easier to access the education. We don't have to worry about these different struggles, but everyone has a struggle. Everyone has a personal choice to make. But the ball starts rolling now. This is for you. This is the students. I'd like to share a poem that I put together to capture the spirit of our Student Awareness Week. It's called Just a Chance. Okay. I need a chance, just a chance. A chance to walk to school and not worry about the bombs, about the hazing, about the bullying, about rape. I need a chance to succeed because I deserve to. Like my brothers and sisters around the world, a chance to express my thoughts, a chance to express my mind, my education without repression. Because an educated society is a society that makes informed decisions about themselves and the future, uniting their communities where restricting education serves to divide them. Just a chance to feel, no, be safe, to fear, no, be secure, to reach out for help and see the hands for my school, community, and family. Help me get through the challenge. The only challenge I should be facing is being all that I can be. Being a student. A chance to be a student. We are. And try that again. We are.
Students!
We are.
Students!
We are.
Students!
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful and critically thoughtful week.